The prosecutor is off to an awful, and I do mean awful start in the Lindsay Clancy trial, and she is going to lose the jury if she doesn't change her tactics. It's a great day for a great day. My name is Sydney Rushing. I'm a criminal defense attorney in the state of Michigan. Now let's talk about it. Day one of Lindsay Clancy's trial is officially in the books, and it started off the morning by the judge giving the jury their jury instructions, basically kind of like what the law is, what evidence is, what it isn't, what objections are, him ruling one way or the other, doesn't give his opinion on the case, and things like that. And then they went into opening statements. The prosecutor started off by talking about the children and all the cute things about them. And then she said, "You are here today because they are not." That was a very profound statement. And she said that this was a deliberate and meticulously planned unaliving wrangling by Lindsay Clancy. She took them back to the date of the incident, which was January 24th of 2023. She described the evidence that they would be seeing, what the prosecutors would present, how the witness list is super long. Then she went back into the details of the day of the incident. She had a lot of questions in the way that she said things about the voices that Lindsay was hearing and the timing of it. I mean, it pretty much seemed like she did not believe that this was a mental health issue, but that this was done with a normal mind. She said that you would see the loving and nice nurse, but then you'd also see the strict, manipulative, and over-controlling person that Lindsay Clancy was. She said the issues became bigger when Patrick went back to work and they no longer had the nanny and the help, and that it became hard for Lindsay to manage, hard for her to keep control of everything like she wanted. Hello, doesn't every mom who has to go back to work and have multiple children at home to also take care of? We all have trouble managing that. That's not an unnormal concept or thing for working mothers. And quite truthfully, I don't know how her opening statement is sitting well with any woman, to be honest. She said that this case is about Lindsay Clancy, not mental health, and she asked them to find her guilty, not because of mental health, but because she knew what she was doing. Her opening statement lasted approximately 20 minutes. And the defense came up and gave their opening statement, which was totally different. They started off by saying it's going to be hard because they have to see some of the hardest things during this trial. He said you bring your life experience to this trial, and he knows that they'll take this job serious. He placed the blame on the prosecutor for bringing the case, saying they knew the facts of this case before they decided to charge it. He doesn't deny her doing it. He said that they were tasked with finding out what was going on with her mind at the time of the incident. He says how the prosecutor is going to bring evidence in a bunch of different formats, basically photos, videos, 3D renderings of photos of videos of the incident, how they have to go to the house and see a house that no longer looks like the house at the time when Lindsay Clancy and Patrick Clancy were there and the incident happened. Basically, he's saying the prosecutor is showing you a bunch of very emotional and awful things when they don't really have to. He used visual aids during his opening statement. He showed pictures of Lindsay's injuries from the day of the incident because the prosecutor said that she had minor cuts and scrapes when realistically there was a cut from side to side, huge gashes on her arms, the broken bones and things like that, saying these are not minor injuries. He also kind of kept circling back to how the prosecutors were trying to say that this was a fake unaliving by Lindsay Clancy of herself when realistically, no, this is real life. He even brought a big board to show every single time that Lindsay Clancy reached out for help or sought doctors' helps and the medical stuff that she received and all of that. I think that was very, very, very useful, and that probably worked very well with the jury because it's another visual aid so they can actually see this laid out. One thing I know in this case is that Lindsay Clancy has the medical records to back up what she was going through. Said how the prosecutors basically skewing everything to try and fit their story, and that yes, Lindsay basically was emotionless. She had no feelings during this entire time because of the medications. He said that this is not a righteous prosecution, that they're trying to make things something that they're not, really kind of showing how the prosecutor is trying to downplay what Lindsay Clancy was going through. And then he came and said that, this is someone who didn't get the medical attention that she deserved and that she so very much needed. The opening statement was approximately 34 minutes. Then Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Sprague called their first witness, which was none other than Patrick Clancy, which is Lindsay Clancy's husband. She asked how they met. He met through his cousin in 2013, who was Lindsay's college roommate in Boston at the time. He went through a timeline of their relationship. They discussed where he was working. They discussed whether he had help in the home when Lindsay went back to work, which they did. They had a babysitter who came around 12 hours a week. He said that she always started to struggle after she went back to work. He discussed how they, shared caring for the kids. Sometimes she would want to bring Callan with him and the big kids, but a lot of times she would stay home with Callan while he took the big kids out, and that's kind of how they managed parenting the kids. They discussed their summer. They went on some family vacations. They went to the beach. They went on the boat. They went to some friends' houses. He said that he started noticing the anxiety in Lindsay starting in like September, but they didn't really notice it much during the summer months when she wasn't working. He talked about how Lindsay told him she wanted to start taking Zoloft to help her feel better with her anxiety and going back to work, and that she said she'd get it by talking to a doctor. And he said that she desperately wanted to get better. They went to therapist after therapist, psychiatrist after psychiatrist. They did inpatient treatment. They were doing everything they could to try and get her help. He said he really didn't see any improvement, that basically she was just on a downward trend into the depression. He described one incident of Lindsay having anxiety about him and Cora going to San Francisco, and how that there was this Halloween event, and that leading up to it just really didn't seem like she wanted to go. I'll tell you this right now, my anxiety that I had postpartum with my kids definitely included, like, I didn't want them going anywhere because it gave me so much anxiety. So I can see how that's a real thing here. And let's be real, I think the prosecutor is the only one denying that she was going through any type of postpartum. I think the prosecutor is literally the only person thinking that at this time. Anyways, back to it. He didn't recall Lindsay telling him that she was advised to double her dose of Zoloft, but then they refreshed his memory and he said, yeah, I guess she did tell me that. He said he wouldn't be terribly surprised to know that at any given time she was on, at most, 3 separate medications. He described her as being in rough shape, low energy, she wasn't talking much, was really depressed. He said that when Lindsay said she was, wanted to unalive herself, that she didn't have a plan to actually do it. He was asked if she had ever described hearing in an external voice about hurting the kids, and he said no, she didn't ever express that. He did say that she had said a couple times that she had thoughts of hurting the kids over the course of a night or two in December. He also said that when he spoke to Lindsay about her treatment that she was getting at McLaren Hospital, that he didn't feel like she was actually getting any treatment. He said he wasn't aware of Lindsay being the one to be asked to be discharged from the hospital on January 5th to go to a party. He wasn't aware that she was the one that requested that. He started describing the day of the event, how Lindsay took Cora to the doctor's in the morning, and then the kids played outside and built a snowman, that he and Lindsay had been texting throughout the day, updates, photo of the kids, things like that, while he worked from the at-home office. He said that he thought she was having one of her best days, that, she was in a better mood, that she was more active, more willing to do things. He felt comfortable leaving the kids home with her when he went to get the food because of that. She ordered takeout and he left to get it. Said before he left, he kissed Cora on the head and he told them all he would be right back. And then the judge ended court for the day. Court ended around 3:30 in the afternoon, and people thought that they should keep going. And this is a very emotional case. People have to understand that. So if the judge is going to give breaks, he has to. Not only that, with them coming up to like the actual incident, that's a lot for someone to sit on and hear and then have to go through all of Tuesday and then not even start again until Wednesday. So I think the judge did the right thing by putting the break there. Patrick Clancy was having a little bit of a rough go at it. I think everybody kind of in the courtroom was, because they knew what was about to come. Now there will be no court on Tuesday because a juror has a funeral to attend, so no court Tuesday. So Patrick Clancy will be back on Wednesday morning to continue his direct examination. Obviously, that's going to be the not fun testimony that's coming out from him. And then he will face cross-examination. But again, don't think that the defense is going to go up there and just try and grill him and like be super aggressive with him. He is literally testifying so good for Lindsay right now. Just my honest opinion. And that is it for day one. Thank you for being here. Thank you for following along. And here's the question of the day. Do you think the prosecutor's opening statement was good for her? Or do you think that this is falling on deaf ears for the jury based on how she said everything and basically denying that Lindsay Clancy was facing any type of mental health issue at the time? Let me know in the comments.